Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show, Hump Day edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. And we will start today with news that former and hopefully future President Donald J. Trump has a couple wins in court cases. Not wins at the end of court cases. They're still ongoing in New York, the joke trial about the bookkeeping error, and I could go into all the different details of how ridiculous that case is. But no, these wins came in the past 24 hours when it was learned that Department of Justice lead attorney on the classified documents case, Jack Smith, well, he was not very fastidious in his stewardship of classified documents. Isn't that a little weird that they won't prosecute Joe Biden for having classified documents in torn cardboard boxes in his garage in one of his many mansions in Delaware? But they will prosecute President Trump, and they'll stage a photo, and then they have to, with classified documents in all cases involving any kind of evidence, you have to be meticulous and report what you have to the other side. It's called discovery. And Trump's lawyers, when going through the discoveries of the documents that are at issue, found that, oh, some of these documents are not in the order that they're supposed to be in. And some of them have different covers on them than they're supposed to have. And Jack Smith says, oh yeah, that happened, and I don't know how it happened. And so the judge in the case said, well, we're going to figure this out before we do anything. So now there is no trial date for Donald Trump's classified documents case, which of course drives the lefties crazy, but it drives them crazy because that's how the law works when it works. And when it doesn't work, we go up the road to Atlanta, Georgia for a classic example of the law spinning out of control, where Fani Willis, the district attorney for Fulton County, can hire her, and did hire her, boyfriend, married boyfriend, not to her though, and pay him ridiculous amounts of money, then go in court and justify her actions by saying that she reimbursed him in cash, for which she has no receipts. Well, now Trump's appeal of that case has been green lighted. That's right, you're not entitled to an automatic appeal in Georgia. You have to have it approved by a judge above the level of court where the original case was handled. And so Trump is now going to get to appeal. Why isn't Fani Willis disqualified from the case? Why only Nathan Wade? They were co-conspirators. Why not both? So those are the two wins for Trump in court. And we will get to more details on those as the show unfolds. But we want to start with more detail today on the woman who appears fell to her death, well, definitely fell to her death from Ohio Stadium during Ohio State's graduation on Sunday. We thought was a 50-50 proposition. The woman committed suicide. She's 53-year-old Larissa Brady of Woodstock, Georgia. She was pronounced dead Sunday at 12:25 p.m., shortly after graduates were filing into the stadium. I'm going to put this on the Dispatch because I've seen other outlets that have not reported this, but I got to assume they wouldn't report it if they weren't absolutely sure of it. This woman's daughter was receiving her bachelor's degree during the ceremony. And it's reported in the Dispatch. I'll just read it to you from Max Philby's report. Brady spoke to her daughter as she entered the stadium for commencement. This is in the official coroner's report. Brady then went into the stadium with her husband and 12-year-old son to sit and watch the ceremony. Once seated, Brady then told her family she wanted to move higher into the stadium, and her family told investigators they lost sight of her after making her way to the last row of benches. Witnesses saw Brady climb over the stadium's concrete wall. She had previous mental health issues and had attempted suicide at least twice before, most recently earlier this year. And her husband said that she had not been compliant with her medication. So that's a really, really, really sad story. There's no way that's the action of a rational thinker to A, do that at any point in time, and B, to do it on the date of your daughter's graduation, which is a day of celebration. But unfortunately, now that day will forever be tainted in the mind of her daughter, this woman's husband, and her son. So very, very unfortunate. It is always unfortunate when children suffer. That is why it is not in the same way unfortunate, but nevertheless unfortunate, that the students in Columbus City Schools continue to be horribly underserved by the people who have been given stewardship over them to lead them and to put together a school system where those kids and their parents get what most kids in suburban districts get, which is a solid education. They do not get that in the city of Columbus, and further demonstration of that was evident last night when the Columbus City Schools Board of Education met and announced 9 different plans for how they're going to consolidate buildings in the district, which has suffered and continues to suffer annual losses in enrollment. Now, it is not a mystery why Columbus City Schools suffers a catastrophic decline in enrollment. Enrollment in Columbus City Schools was 110,000. You know what it is today? 45,500. They have lost more than half their students over the past 50 years. Now, some of that is just people moving into the suburbs, into nice leafy communities like Dublin and Hilliard and New Albany and Gahanna and Powell and Lewis Center. I understand that. Some of it is inevitable. But when people move out of the inner city, there are homes available. The leadership of the city of Columbus, particularly over the last 20 years, has turned our city into a crime-ridden hellhole where people in the suburbs no longer even consider, for the most part, going downtown for dinner or a show, unless it's to a Crew game or to a Clipper game or to a Blue Jackets game, and I won't do that because I don't consider that safe. So all these policies are interconnected. It's not an entire failing of Columbus City Schools, but I also don't want to let them off the hook. They've had horrendous leadership over the years. And so they have conned their residents into thinking, if you just give us more money, that will fix the problem. And so in November, residents complied and gave them approximately $100 million more in new levy monies. And so the reward for that is last night, the announcement that of the 110 buildings in the district, it is quite likely that approximately 20 of them will be closed by the time the 2024-25 school year starts. So I wanted to augment my analysis of this with some numbers on why people move to different districts, or why KIPP Academy has a 2,000 student waiting list, or why there's the proliferation of Hillsdale affiliated schools like Columbus Classical Academy and like Dublin Classical Academy, and why there is now in our city a preponderance of Christian schools. Worthington Christian has flourished over 50 years. They're celebrating their 50th year this year. Northside Christian, or I go by academies all the time and I go, wow, it's a Veritas Academy, this academy, that academy. There are all kinds of private schools cropping up in areas where kids could be attending Columbus City Schools, but they're not attending Columbus City Schools, and the reason why is because they don't get a good solid education. So I wanted to augment that by some numbers, and I just plugged into Google reading proficiency scores Columbus City Schools. Then there are just the first 2 statistics that pop up are the only 2 statistics you need to know about how Columbus City Schools are managed. Proficiency in 3rd grade reading in Columbus City Schools, 35.6%. Remember that number, 35.6%. The next number is promotion to 4th grade, 99.6%. I can give you a lot more numbers, and I might give you more. But I can't think of 2 more numbers, two numbers that would demonstrate more the utter failing of leadership of Columbus City Schools than that. Don't give me pandemic. Don't give me pandemic. Oh, everybody's scores suffered during pandemic. Yes, I know in the district that I serve, our scores suffered during the pandemic too. They have soared since the pandemic because our kids go back to class. Why do our kids go back to class? Because they're parented well. The expectation is you go to class, you learn, you go to school. Kids in the inner city, if they don't have two parents and they don't have the insistence that you be in school, or in fairness to the kids, a lot of times they can't be in school because they've got a baby at home and mom's strung out on drugs, dad is nowhere to be found, and the student has to stay home because they don't want to leave their baby brother or sister alone. But less than 36% of kids can read at a third grade proficiency level, and they promote almost 100% of them to fourth grade. Does that seem like a good equation to you? Watching on Twitter? No, doesn't seem like a good equation to me either. How can you do that? How can you do that? How can you promote these kids? I mean, just incredible. Yikes. So let me do a little bit more research on this as we're in commercial, and we'll get back to it here about 11:22.
Here's great news. If you plan on attending Ohio State University as a new traditional student this fall semester at the Circleville campus, you can receive a $5,000 tuition scholarship for only $2,500. That's right, get a $5,000 tuition scholarship for only $2,500. One scholarship per student, and all Ohio Christian University admission requirements must be met. Learn more at 989theanswer.com or call RMAT at 614-216-5049. This is Josh Pick with the Aptus Blueprint Radio Show. The thing that I hear most often in meetings is, what do I do when it seems like stocks and bonds are getting crushed? Rates at the bank are abysmal, and inflation is at 40-year highs. Well, you're not alone, and there are better options. Did you know that you can lock in darn near double-digit returns in a positive market while simultaneously accepting zero downside risk? Learn more about ideas like this and many other ways to improve your financial situation by listening to the Aptus Retirement Blueprint Radio Show Friday evenings at 6, Saturday afternoons at noon, or call our office today at 614-917-1040.
Hey friends, whether it's the melting winter snow or the spring rain that's coming, if you've got roof leaks, that water's coming in, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Well, actually there is, but you guys need to start. This is Bob Brants, and that step is to call Sky Roofing at 614.
That's such a sad story about the OSU graduation suicide, man. Poor lady was very, very troubled, obviously, to do that on the day of graduation. I hope she didn't have an argument with her daughter. Triggered something. Man, oh man.
You've got some gaps in the shingles, or maybe your roof has served its time well for you, but you just need a new one. The damage that's going to be caused by all of those leaks is going to be worse than the cost of getting it done right. Do yourself a favor, get it done right.
What are we doing here off the top? Okay.
280-9308. Call today, get a great quote, learn more at skyroofinginc.com. Sky Roofing is roofing done right.
Hi, it's Bruce Hooley, and if you're like me, you're excited about the approach and eventual arrival of summer. I like being active, I like working in the yard, I like playing golf, I like being active at the shooting range. Those little aches and pains, though, well, they can intrude and they can take away from your enjoyment of the activity you enjoy most. If you have that kind of pain, I'd like to introduce you to a possible solution. That solution is QC Kinetics, the specialists in advanced regenerative medicine. Why be tethered to doctor visits and medication when you can allow your body to do what it's designed to do, heal itself with the help of the professionals at QC Kinetics? Here's how it works. QC Kinetics withdraws the natural healing agents from your body, concentrates them. In the meantime, your body makes more, and QC Kinetics re-injects those healing agents into the affected area, and wow, the results are amazing. Find out more by calling QC Kinetics for your free consultation at 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544. Get out of pain. QC Kinetics. Car payments, credit card payments, home loans. Man, that's a lot of debt for you to carry. Let us help you get caught up when you enter the $18,000 Get Caught Up sweepstakes. The grand prize winner gets up to $10,000 in debt relief. 3 first prize winners will get up to $1,000 in debt relief, and 10 second prize winners will get $500 in debt relief. That's $18,000 total, and that could be you. Enter the Get Caught Up sweepstakes at 989theanswer.com.
So I'm looking at a headline here that says gas prices are poised to rise more this summer. Seems like they went down a little bit this week, but that's not going to last. And you know what higher gas prices means, right? Higher transportation costs. And you know what that means, right? Higher costs at the store. You know where prices have not gone up? At patriotswitch.com/Bruce, where you can get all the personal care items that you need: mouthwash, toothpaste, laundry detergent, countertop cleaner, on and on and on, vitamins, supplements, nutrition bars, drink mixes. You buy any of those? Band-Aids, anything like that? You buy that? patriotswitch.com makes those products. They're all made from plants and plant extracts. They don't outsource any of them. They ship them right to your home. Their prices have not gone up in the 3 years that I've been a member. And you know what? The shipping cost of $10.44 a month is credited back to your account so you can buy more products the following month. Awesome products. You'll love them. Good for the environment. Good for our country because it takes market share away from Johnson & Johnson, Unilever, and Procter & Gamble. This is a privately owned family company, a private shopping club. You should join it. Go to patriotswitch.com/Bruce, patriotswitch.com/Bruce. We will speak at noon today, well, 12:05, with Joel Penton, the CEO of LifeWise Academy. LifeWise Academy is a tremendous program. It has grown exponentially since its start in 2019, when it began in two schools, and now it is in over 300 schools in multiple states. In my district, it has flourished tremendously, and it is off-site school instruction in the Bible for kids. I don't know if there are districts where they have it through grade 12. In our district, we have it through grade 6. But Joel is the man behind it. It was his inspiration that started it. They have outgrown their facility in Hilliard. They'll be moving into the former Aquatic Adventures building right along I-270 at the Upper Arlington Hilliard exit. And we'll talk with Joel about why it's grown. In my opinion, it's grown because parents see the degradation of our culture. They see college campus protests. They see a world they can no longer make sense of, spinning out of control. And they want the future for their children that they had growing up. And while they may not be staunch church goers and may not understand even the gospel of Jesus Christ and evangelical Christianity, they understand that there is something inherently good in it, because when there was a greater percentage of Americans who attended church and were devoted to following the wisdom of the scriptures, life in America was a lot better. You could agree to disagree. You could have conversations. You didn't have people saying America was a systemically racist country or a place that didn't deserve to exist. So we'll talk with Joel Penton at 12:05 today. We've been talking about schools at the start of the show today because Columbus City Schools Board of Education last night met and unveiled multiple plans. Excuse me, I had a catch in my throat. Multiple plans to close multiple buildings in the district. Didn't they get a $100 million levy in November, Bruce? Yes, they did. They did. But you know what? More money doesn't fix the problem. They've been getting more and more and more and more money, and the test scores just keep going down and down and down and down. And really the only way to cure this is to send your kid to a private school in Columbus City Schools. The only way to cure this is to send your kid to a private school or to move and get them out of the district. And that's what a lot of people have done, because enrollment at Columbus City Schools has gone from an apex of 110,000 plus in 1972 to 45,500 right now. And so they are a managerial train wreck, and that dysfunction manifests itself in how the kids are taught, how the kids are, in this case, not disciplined, and it's a mess. The union has shown it is first and foremost concerned about its union members, not about the students that it teaches, by making ridiculous demands for compensation, going on strike. The administrators have gone to pricey conventions out of town. Multiple members of the administration have done that and have not been accountable on the expenses when they've been asked by people who have FOIA'd their expense reports and things of that nature. They're not transparent. They're not functional, and they're just not very good at their jobs. And so you can't blame parents for looking for better answers. And complicit in this is the Columbus Dispatch, because here's what I find very, very interesting about the story last night. And you'll find it, well, no, you won't find it, because hopefully you're not going to be a subscriber to the Dispatch, so it can go out of business and our city will be better. And we won't be propagandized by the likes of their woke reporting staff. But we got a long story today. I'm holding it right here. It's like 9 pages printed out about Columbus City Schools and how many plans they have to combine South High School and Marion Franklin, or Eastmore Academy is also in their crosshairs. They want to move that to East High School. Columbus Alternative High School, they might move that to East High School. All kinds of plans, right? So this is like a very detailed thing. And probably poor Cole Behrens and Sharon and Hendricks were up till all hours last night writing this. But you know, then I flip over to the opinion page of the Columbus Dispatch, and here is a 2-page printed out editorial from a woman by the name of Carol Beckerly, who it says is a guest columnist, and she is a former Columbus City School teacher. So she's a union member and a former member of the Board of Education. So Carol, who helped create the problem we're talking about, shockingly had to have had this editorial prepared in advance of the details of these 9 possible school closing plans being shared with parents last night. And when you go through the article, many parents are complaining about the fact that Columbus City Schools are not open, not transparent, not being straight with parents, giving answers, or even answering questions, to the point where the union president was on some do-nothing committee that came up with 9 alternatives. Look, I'm on my local school board. If we ever can't narrow down our solutions to a problem beyond 9, then that's demonstrable incompetence. Hey, we're going to close some school buildings. Here are our 9 recommendations. Huh? Now, I know they have a lot of buildings, but still, like, how about you boil it down to 3, okay? 9 recommendations? In other words, we're just doing this to show you we're doing something. But how does Carol Beckerly know all the details of this? Enough to say that, hey, all the complaints about lack of transparency, all the complaints about the facilities task force not honoring its commitments, all this stuff that you're hearing, pay no attention to that, because really the people in charge are doing a phenomenal job. She only is able to put this in reasonable, understandable order if she's been given a heads up on what the board is going to talk about, and most importantly, the board knowing how the residents and students in the district are going to receive it. And so they are marshaling their forces, former board member, former teacher, to do damage control on this nutty district, this incompetent district ahead of time. Crazy. How does she know? How does she know? How can she say, oh, they're doing a great job? How do you know until you know? Maybe they come up with something brilliant last night, Carol Beckerly. And yet you seem to have a lot of information about what the plan was before it was announced to the residents. Don't the residents, aren't they owed an answer first? Duh.
Storms are battering parts of the Midwest with heavy rain, gusty winds, and tornadoes, the forecasters warn, could spill out of the region. The severe weather outbreak started Tuesday and continued into today. On Wall Street, the Dow's ahead.
All right, what do we got here?
NASDAQ, meanwhile,
on the old audio machine. Let's check it out.
More details at srnews.com.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got.
Good.
They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, and evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week.
Somewhere around here,
just like you.
there are more stories that I've printed out.
What the elites are doing is using inflation, government handouts, and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold
painting
IRA
a dire picture of things.
Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word SAFE to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why gold IRAs can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word FAITH to 989898, and you're going to be blessed by taking action.
You are deciding to shred the United States Constitution and our traditions just to try to win an election.
Laura Trump.
This is basic stuff. If things aren't working, you gotta change them. That's the problem the Democrats have. All of their policy positions seem so extreme and so crazy, and you look at this and you're like, I don't know, that seems to make a lot of sense to me.
And Trish Regan.
And people that are here legally really don't appreciate all these illegals coming in, depressing wages for the rest of the labor pool, possibly introducing an element of crime into their communities. They don't want it. They're not happy. And so guess what? They're migrating to Trump.
Subscribe today for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. Trish Regan provides the analysis you need each day on the Trish Regan podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
The Democrats keep getting this one wrong. They think that they can just flip states. That suddenly all the Hispanics are going to vote for Joe Biden. And in fact, what you're actually seeing in places like this is Hispanics. They're overwhelmingly coming out in favor of Trump.
Subscribe to the Trish Regan podcast today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. He's one of the top 10 radio hosts in the country. He never varnishes his opinions. And now more than ever, you need to spend part of your day with a healthy dose of the Mike Gallagher Show. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Hey, did you see what the Biden administration announced on Friday? The U.S. Department of Agriculture will require electronic ear tags on all cattle or bison 18 months of age or older if they are to be transported across state lines. Now, why would they want to do that? It's almost like they're trying to keep track of who's shipping cattle where in order to, I don't know, monitor the food supply in the country. Gee, wouldn't it be nice if there was like a rancher out west whose ranch was so big that he could butcher his own Black Angus beef and ship it right to your door? Oh, lucky for you, there is. riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. We get a shipment every month. Some people opt for the every other month option. Ribeyes, filet mignons, steak strips, obviously ground beef. It's no hormones, no antibiotics, USDA choice and prime. It's the best, and it's government free of intervention. riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. In his never-ending effort to make our city safer, I doubt Andrew Ginther, the golfing mayor of the city of Columbus, will highlight what happened in the northwest portion of the city, a portion that I do not consider to be, or did not consider to be when I lived on Bethel Road, dangerous. But Monday night, dozens of vehicles were broken into in the parking lot of the Meadow Park Church of God, which has been there at least since the late 1980s when I moved back here. These dozens of vehicles were broken into at Meadow Park Church of God, at Independence High School, which is down, around Go Down Road. And this is about 2 weeks after A bunch of cars were broken into outside the mall at Tuttle Crossing, also not considered to be a dangerous place. After a car was stolen at the Columbus Zoo. So the spate of car thefts in our city, around 10,000 a year. Pay no attention to that. We have a very safe city, the mayor keeps telling us. So that happened. Also, 2 people are in custody after leading Columbus police officers on a chase in a stolen car, during which they got out of that car, stole another car, and proceeded to try to avoid police. 4 police cruisers were damaged in the chase near John Glenn International Airport. Whitehall police were also in on it. In the middle of the afternoon, this happened. So, there you go. Andrew Ginther, as I said in the open, you want to know why enrollment of Columbus City Schools used to be 110,000 and now it's 45,000? It's because under the, I'm not going to say leadership, under the mayorship of Michael Coleman and Andrew Ginther, they have turned a once safe gem of a city into an increasingly uninhabitable cesspool. They have done that. And they are proud of it. They have an all-Democrat city council. They have a city law director who will not prosecute protesters on the Ohio State campus who are clearly in violation of the law when they demonstrated on the South Oval and refused to leave and tried to block officers from breaking it up. Thankfully, we have a university president in Ted Carter who didn't put up with that nonsense. So we don't have the kind of chaos that they had in the wee hours of this morning at George Washington University, where finally Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser realized, hey, this looks bad, that the school's administration asked me to send in the cops to break up this encampment, which has placed Palestinian flags and Hammas scarves on the statue of George Washington, the father of our country, and we refused to send them. Because, of course, Muriel Bowser doesn't disagree with the protesters who are anti-Semitic and who are pro-Hamas. But finally, overnight, they moved in and they arrested a bunch of idiots. And I have no doubt they will find among them the same kind of pro-Hamas propaganda that William Lajeunesse of Fox is reporting that they found on the campus at the University of Texas at Austin. Because one thing about anarchists, they're well organized and they understand the stupidity of young people and their vulnerability to being swayed under the lie that their actions are not really demonstrations of anarchy, but are instead demonstrations of altruism. Oh, you're doing a great thing. America is a terrible place. I always wonder, any of these females protesting on college campuses, do they have any idea at all, what their life would be like if they lived in Gaza, where if they were seen in public with a man who is not their husband, they would have grounds to be killed, according to Sharia law? They have no idea what they are affirming with their actions. Here's William Lajeunesse of Fox giving us the campus roundup overnight. I apologize. This is William Lajeunesse talking about Hamas recruiting propaganda with and the organization of the violence that these protests were prepared to escalate to on the campus at the University of Texas at Austin, and then he'll update us on what's going on at other campuses.
Jews and elimination of Israel. In Glory to Gaza, one document says, armed struggles enshrined in law. In that struggle for liberation, they celebrate rocket attacks on Zionist settlements, with over 2,300 rockets launched last year. They also reject peace or a two-state solution, saying, we are not satisfied with coexistence or ending apartheid. We must liberate the land from the river to the sea. Another quotes the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade. That's a known terrorist group that targets Israeli civilians, quoting, we will emerge upon you from where you least expect it. Some materials source the Resistance News Network, a radical anti-Semitic English-language Telegram channel that promotes Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Officials also found weapons, chains, and steel cables to barricade doors, and buckets of rocks and bricks to assault police. UC San Diego police also found wooden stakes, metal and plywood shields, spray cans, and a sword. About 35% of those arrested at UCSD were not students, half at Texas.
Weapons, chains, rocks, a sword, mostly peaceful. Yes, mostly peaceful. Now, into this absurd logic steps perhaps the one U.S. senator who I would have never predicted would take the side against such protests, and that is Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. It's almost like Fetterman, after his stroke, it like reordered things in his brain, and he has now come to see things as they are, not as Democrats would have you to believe. Here is John Fetterman last night, resplendent in his Carhartt hoodie on the set of Special Report with Brett Baer.
Also been outspoken on these college campus protests.
Yeah.
And what do you feel about them when you see them?
I'm not even sure what they're really, protesting about. If you ask them, they're not really sure. And as I said that it's actually working against peace in Gaza. And Hamas is convinced that they've won the PR war, and they keep seeing all these kinds of protests across the nation on these campuses. And it's not helpful, but it's actually works against peace, I think.
John Fetterman, bringing the truth. You can always join the Bruce Hooley Show whenever you want by calling 844-TALK-989. Jack in Columbus, listening to our conversation about Columbus City Schools, has done so. Jack says he wants to talk about corruption in Columbus City Schools. Jack, we only have a minute left in this segment. You're going to have to go fast to cover that topic.
Last year in the Columbus Dispatch, City of Columbus operates on a $1.8 billion budget.
Yeah.
They spend $17,400 per student, significantly higher than other districts. During the COVID era, the emergency relief funds, Group 1, they received 30.9, Group 2, 130.58 million. These are all millions, and 293 million. So you add that up, and that's a lot of money. And then, as you said earlier, they bamboozled the Columbus residents into an $680 million bond and a 4.7 permanent, and we're still putting out an F product.
Yep, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And I'll add to your tale of truth, but woe, that they lowered the reading proficiency requirements because they couldn't meet them. We don't need to teach kids how to read, but let's promote them all anyway.
Tomorrow, 67.
Right.
Sun and clouds on Friday.
15 more
shower,
minutes.
The high only 63. Cloudy, becoming windy. Some showers around on Saturday. Could be some small hail and some thunder. High Saturday at 63. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had Leaf Filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now save 50% on the sleep.
Mr. President, why did you pause the shipment? Mr. President, why did you pause the shipment? Mr. President.
By having a $25 extravaganza. When Mike started MyPillow, it was a one-product company. With his dedicated employees, they now have hundreds of products, some of which you may not even know about. To get the word out, I want to invite my listeners to check out their $25 extravaganza. For instance, a 2-pack multi-use MyPillow, just $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. Their 6-pack towel sets, $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels, you guessed it, $25. For the first time ever, premium MyPillow with all new Giza fabric, just $25. Orders over $75 will receive free shipping too. This amazing offer won't last long, so go to mypillow.com and use my promo code Bruce. That's mypillow.com, promo code Bruce.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at BestHotGrill.com.
There are thousands of colleges that offer a quality education, but at Ohio Christian University, we also care about your financial future. Our Payback Promise is a loan repayment assistance program at no cost to you and is the safety net you need to take the next step confidently. Don't let your financial concerns about pursuing your dream to attend college hold you back. Visit ohiochristian.edu/payback to learn more. That's ohiochristian.edu/payback.
Hey, Mother's Day is coming up, and you have until tomorrow to enter the Mother's Day sweepstakes. Now, you know Mom, you know you love her, you know you don't want to blow it, so how about entering the Mother's Day sweepstakes for a chance to win $500 for her? Our annual Mother's Day $500 sweepstakes will provide the grand prize winner with, guess what, $500 to give to your mom. Or you could receive a free copy of Heart Happy by renowned author Tricia Goyer. Enter once today and once tomorrow, or maybe even more than once, by completing bonus activities at 989theanswer.com. While you're there, still time to check out the Patriots Alaska Cruise with Dr. Seb Gorka and Mike Gallagher, two of your favorite Salem Radio Network hosts. The cruise leaves from Seattle, cruises toward Alaska, beautiful scenery, June 29th, July the 6th. Find out details on the Patriots Alaska Cruise with Dr. G and Mike Gallagher on 989theanswer.com. Our addled president shuffled out of the White House a couple of hours ago to Marine One, surrounded by 5 of his henchmen who are supposed to block our camera view of how halting his steps are. And the assembled media had a simple question for Joe Biden. After his speech yesterday at the Holocaust Museum condemning anti-Semitism and saying that we can't give safe harbor to people who practice anti-Semitism. Did he take 2 weeks to condemn the campus protests where people were voicing anti-Semitism? Yes. Now, after that speech yesterday, people want to know, if anti-Semitism is bad in the mind of the president, why did he pause the promised shipment of precision arms to Israel in advance of or during its mission into Gaza? By the way, yesterday, Israel, just keep in mind, the Biden administration says Israel is not conducting its war in Gaza humanely enough. Over the weekend, 4 Israeli Defense Forces soldiers, in other words, 4 Israeli military officers or military personnel, 4 of them were killed in the area in the southernmost portion of Gaza where the humanitarian aid comes into Gaza from Egypt. Okay? So the IDF is there keeping the passageway open so humanitarian aid can get in to the people who are trying to exterminate those IDF soldiers and their Jewish brethren and fellow citizens from the face of the earth. So they were killed over the weekend. Now, what would your reaction be to that? Screw you. We're going to leave the humanitarian gate closed. We're not getting any more soldiers killed there. No. Israel yesterday reopened the humanitarian gate on the southern tip of Gaza. So more humanitarian aid can get in, which the 20 to 30,000 Hamas soldiers left in Gaza will undoubtedly steal and use, as they have used it over the last 20 years, to make bombs and weapons and take all the food for themselves, sell it on the black market, make a lot more money so they can buy more bombs, make more weapons, and lob rockets into Israel. I think you can accuse Israel of fighting this war in portions stupidly, because I would not be aiding and abetting my enemies the way they are. Israel bends over backward to be humane in its prosecution of this war against people who would gladly slit the throat of every Jew on the face of the earth if they could. But I digress from my original point. Biden's shuffling out of the White House, and people want to know, if you're critical of Israel in the way it's prosecuting this war, and you're fearful that innocent civilians in Gaza will die if Israel goes into Rafah and cleans out the 20 to 30,000 Hamas people who are hiding among the citizens, then wouldn't it be a good idea to send them more precision arms so that they could be, wait for it, precise in the way that they prosecute this war? Wouldn't that be a good idea? Those are fair questions. Joe Biden has not answered them. Nobody at the White House has answered them. Kirby, KJP, none of the intersectional hires, none of the nut jobs like Ian Sams or anybody else at the White House will answer those questions. So they tried getting Joe Biden to answer them today as he shuffled out of the White House.
Mr. President, why did you pause the shipment? Mr. President, why did you pause the shipment?
And off he goes to Marine One, KJP and 4 other idiots in tow, to head to Wisconsin, a state he knows he has to win in order to win the presidency. Meanwhile, I think today is a day off in court in New York for Donald Trump, so I don't know where he is campaigning today. Yesterday, Judge Juan Marchand in New York, who has made multiple stupid rulings, felt the brunt of one of his stupid rulings by allowing a porn star to testify about having sex with Donald Trump when her testimony about that liaison had absolutely no relevance to the case. Everybody is pretty convinced the two had some kind of a sexual encounter in Lake Tahoe, Nevada in 2006. Even though Stormy Daniels herself, the 4 times married, now bisexual porn star who sleeps with men on film for money and who gets paid by men who have sex with her not to disclose having sex with her, who, by the way, owes Donald Trump lots of money in legal fees for a case he won against her already. Judge Juan Marchand was warned that her testimony had no validity about whether or not Trump committed a bookkeeping error. Stormy Daniels do the books for the Trump organization? I don't think so. Can she add 1 and 1? I don't know. But she was allowed to testify. And guess what? Her testimony was salacious. A woman who not only stars in but produces pornographic movies. Imagine that when asked to testify about having sex with someone was graphic in describing it. And afterward, Juan Marchand, the judge, said he was very disappointed that the jury had heard that information, that it was unbecoming for a courtroom. But don't worry. I won't allow a mistrial to be declared here because I'm pretty sure I can order the jury to forget everything they just heard. This is Jonathan Turley of Fox.
Dumpster fire that went off in his courtroom. It was the defense that said there's no reason for this witness. She's not material to the case. The details of their alleged tryst doesn't have any bearing on the crime. The NDA is not being contested. The question is how it was denoted as a legal expense. So the testimony was entirely irrelevant, and the judge refused to narrow this testimony the way that the defense suggested, if not disallowing it. And then he expressed surprise when this porn star went into lurid detail. And keep in mind that she said that she was coached by the prosecutors. They wanted this to happen. I mean, this was not just to humiliate the president. They wanted to poison the well with the jury. And they know that the likely penalty from the court is going to tell this jury, just pretend you didn't hear all that stuff, which obviously is impossible.
It is impossible. But it gets to their twisted view of what the greater good is, which is anything that puts Orange Man bad either behind bars or defeats him in the upcoming presidential election is worth whatever compromise of the legal system they engage in to accomplish their twisted goal. And so, if it's a porn star testifying in court about something that is completely irrelevant and inappropriate for mature ears to hear, so much the better. You have to break eggs to make an omelet after all.
The Caribbean is calling. Dennis Prager here. I invite you to join me on a Bible cruise this November.
Oh, the madness continues, doesn't it? Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great day. Feeling a little better from the last round of chemo. Yesterday was not a very good day. Today, better day. So hope you all have a good day today, and I'll see you tomorrow.